Do stay tuned. We're going to go to a quick break, but we've got YouTuber Joe Waltorton, known as Nuffinbutfishing and part of the CARPology presenting team. He's coming up after this break here on Fisherman's Blues on TalkSport 2.
TalkSport 2, official broadcast partner.
Now, as you just heard, I'm about to go live on the radio on TalkSport 2 for Fisherman's Blues, doing an interview with Thom Airs. Any second now I'm going to be getting a call from the producer to get me live after this ad break. So I've never done live radio before. I've done podcasts and things, which I've always enjoyed. But for some reason, doing something live, I'm a little bit more nervous. But I thought I'd film this anyway to show you guys behind the scenes of a radio interview. But also, if you're going to miss this, which probably a lot of you aren't up at 7:30 on a Sunday morning, you can watch this when you like on my YouTube channel, as you probably are right now. So I'm about to get a phone call and I'm about to start this interview.
Really good, thanks. Thanks so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Brilliant. I'm just double checking. Are you on speakerphone at the moment?
I am, yeah. Would you rather I wasn't?
If that's okay, yeah. It's just a bit distant.
Yep, no problem. How's that sound? Perfect. Thank you very much. 3 seconds.
On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app, and on your smart speaker. This is Fisherman's Blues on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, I can catch them shallow, I can catch them deep. I get to be a fisherman.
Welcome back to Fisherman's Blues here on TalkSport 2. I'm Thom Airs with you until 8 a.m. I'm tapping my feet along to those tunes provided by producer Mark Randall behind the glass. Moving on to our third and final guest of this morning's show. It's someone I should have brought on this show earlier, and it's his debut on this show, but we should have done this years ago, I reckon. It's Joe Waltorton, otherwise known as Nuffinbutfishing in the YouTube world, and part of the CARPology presenting team as well. Morning, Joe. How are things where you are this morning?
Morning, Tom. Absolutely lovely, thank you. And can I first of all congratulate you on pronouncing Waltorton correctly? Not many people can manage that.
Do you know what? It's a bit of a tongue twister. It is.
Yes.
You have to get it right. You have to enunciate properly. But I'm glad we're off to a flying start, Joe, and I'll call you Joe from here on in. YouTube, did you ever think when you set up your own sort of personal blog, Nuffinbutfishing, that you'd make a career out of it?
Not at all. I think if you look at the way I spell Nuffinbutfishing, you realise I never took it that seriously to start with, because it's not exactly spelt correctly, but I set it up purely for the enjoyment of it. At the time, I think carp catching, I saw he started doing them again actually. He was the main guy still doing the YouTube blogs back when I started. I set mine up in January 2009, I think it was. So a very long time ago, and he was the inspiration for it. And no, I never thought that it would become a career. It's purely just an enjoyment thing back then.
Yeah, was there one video that sparked interest, that went viral, to use the terminology? One clip I know that has been stolen from you many times, and a clip I know you know exactly what I'm going to say is the run. I think it's a float rod on an old Nash siren bite alarm, and it's a screaming take. But it was one of those first live runs that was captured on camera, and I know a lot of people nicked it from you online. Was that one of the videos that went viral? Was there a specific episode that sort of propelled you into a wider orbit?
Yeah, I'd say that one exactly is the one that went more viral. I think if I got some money every time it's stolen, then that would be my full-time career by now. But it was it was a float rod. It was on Bude Canal, and the reason I took that rod was because I had very little space in my old 1998 5-door red Corsa on a family holiday. So I just packed in something small, and a little I think 8-pound mirror went flying off, and that reel went viral. But other than that, actual blog content-wise that's gone viral, I don't think I've ever had one that's really taken off. I suppose the highest number of views, understandably, would be when Alan Blair joined me on Bude Canal as well. I'd love to say that was because my name had suddenly taken off, but I have a big inkling that it was Alan's fault for that one going a bit more viral. But other than that, they've just trickled along. They've been very humble in their views, but I think people enjoy them because they're fairly down to earth, is what I've always tried to do.
Yeah, I remember one. I think possibly the first time I came across you was, I think, £5 rod in Ibiza or something like that.
Oh, of course.
€5 rod. What was that all about?
Yeah, so that was a mate's birthday to Ibiza, and this is at the time where every time I took a camera with me, I was documenting what I was doing, whether that be photographing mates and things or filming videos. And so I thought, well, they've got these really cheap holiday rods, and there were some little fish off the jetty where we were staying, so I thought, we'll give it a try. Didn't really catch anything out there, but obviously we weren't over there for the fishing. But I brought the rod back in hand luggage and went fishing. Ended up catching a common of probably around 15, 16 pound on the thing, and the reel exploded during the fight, but that did really well because people seem to love seeing budget stuff and really undergunned equipment performing and actually catching the fish that we usually use much higher end gear on. So that did really well, and I've tried to replicate that to an extent on a fairly recent video of buying the cheapest rod and reel I could find on Marketplace, and that so far has gone down well as well.
Yeah, I've seen that recent one, and we'll perhaps talk about your recent videos in a moment. I mean,
Sure.
just broadly, sadly, fishing on social media isn't always positive. Tell me about the highs and the lows of being a fishing YouTuber. What's the best thing? Is it when you do those annual YouTuber matches and there is a real community beyond your computer screens? What are the bad things? What are the highs and lows of being on YouTube as an angler?
Yeah, well, let it be known the highs outweigh the lows massively, otherwise I wouldn't keep doing it. And the sense of community, I suppose, that we've built up over the years on both the CARPology channels and Nuffinbutfishing, the way I've always done social media is very honest. So what you see is what you get. I like to think that I'm on camera exactly how I am in real life, and that's built up quite a strong community. And you see that in some of the messages I get where people feel like they almost know me personally, even though it's only through a screen. So the pros are massively outweigh the negatives, but of course there's always negatives of anything online where things get twisted, taken out of context, or just people hide behind a screen or a keyboard and say what they like and don't think about the person on the other end. So there is the negative side of it where stories can be blown up. And just even this week I had one, I think you messaged me about it, where a little jokey Instagram post on my story got screenshots sent to a fishery owner, blown out of proportion. I had them on the phone clarifying things. So it does have its negative sides, but I'll take them every day if the positives continue to outweigh the negatives as they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good to hear that they do outweigh those negatives, those slight negatives. In terms of the content that you come up with, and you mentioned that you've recently revisited that sort of cheap gear, sort of overperforming. How easy is it to come up with fresh ideas? I mean, it seems the constant churn of content that's out there, it rewards people who do some things slightly differently. Are you looking across other hobbies on YouTube to sort of borrow content from other hobbies that you might have, the sort of style, the format, or are you just, I don't know, are you writing down little things that come to you in notes on your phone? How do you come up with a content plan?
Probably a mixture of all of the things you just stated. My wife and I have sat down recently and we've gone through loads of different video ideas, and exactly that, I've gone through some of the channels I'm subscribed to, because although I'm in the fishing industry, barely any of the stuff I watch is actually fishing. It's my break from fishing is the other contents that I watch. So it'll be car related or music, guitar playing. And I look at the thumbnails that they've come up with, the video ideas they're doing, and a lot of those are, I bought the cheapest Mazda MX-5 on Marketplace I could find and then did a challenge with it. And they always seem to do well. And I saw that no one was really doing that in fishing that I'm aware of. So I thought I'd try and do that in fishing. So it's doing things a bit different, because I'd love to still do the content that I used to make, which is I went fishing for 24 hours on a local, but I'm very aware that's got a very finite view base. You need to do something that's a bit more out there, that's going to get more reach to hopefully make the channel grow a bit more.
Yeah, I think we probably watch the same automotive YouTube channels by the sounds of that. That's for sure. One thing you have done, which I really loved, your wife Marielle, you've introduced her to fishing in a recent video, and it might lead into a bit of a series of videos. Did it open your eyes? You know, we as anglers take fishing for granted, and there's Marielle in a tackle shop, and she's bless her, bemused by the terminology, the kit. Did it sort of in a weird way make you think, hang on, there are pretty, there's lots of barriers to entry, as the phrase goes, to angling, and perhaps we don't as anglers always realise it once we've got a certain skill level?
Yeah, it was very eye-opening, and that was another reason for starting that series in the tackle shop. And I state in the start of the video that if you're getting into fishing, a tackle shop could seem an extremely daunting place where you're going in and just seeing walls of colours, different brands, and think, where on earth do I start? And we forget that that's where all of us really started, unless we had someone that guided us along. Like my mates got me into fishing, so I had a base point to work from when I had the information there. But if you're coming into it on your own, you just fancy giving it a try, it would be scary or daunting, and that could put a lot of people off. So going back to that, it's highlighted to me that, yeah, actually I do know, I may not catch much more, but I know a lot more than I did when I first started. And to see how going from the basics of float fishing, which is how I started as well, and just the basic muscle memory of casting, doing fiddly knots and things that we just take for granted and do with our eyes shut or having a chat with a mate, actually needs a lot of attention, a lot of patience, which is one thing that I sometimes lack. And in the edit, I took out a few expletives, I think, on the various tangles.
I mean, did it give Marielle as well an appreciation of you as the skill of being an angler, the skills that we all sort of pick up that you say doing it with our eyes closed, but also the effort that goes into filming fishing sessions as well? Did she appreciate what you do on a day-to-day basis a little bit more after you went fishing together?
Well, we've been together 5 and a bit years now, I think, so she's always seen the amount of effort that goes into filming, because she knows if I've gone out for a day to film one product, I could be gone all day because it takes that long to film. So I think she's always appreciated the level of time and effort that goes into filming. But this time, yeah, I suppose she would have seen that there's a lot more to it when I'm filming myself fishing, because I think some of the biggest compliments I've ever had before is actually that someone thought I had a cameraman with me when I'm filming these sessions. But once I did a behind the scenes and showed that for every shot I take, I've got to walk the camera down the bank, set it up, focus, come back, film the shot. It's there's a lot into it. So filming someone else made it easier. But then also trying to teach said person made it more difficult again.
Well, I hope it didn't put too much of a strain on your marriage, but it's a great video. I would recommend anyone tuning in and hearing Joe for the first time perhaps to tune into his Nuffinbutfishing YouTube channel. And as he alluded to, spelt in perhaps a teenage way, Joe, Nuffin, Nuffinbutfishing. And we're going to talk more to Joe, but we're going to go to a quick break now here on Fisherman's Blues on TalkSport 2.
TalkSport 2, official broadcast partner of the EFL.
Flew by. So that's the first segment. I've got another segment after the break, and then we'll be done.
Shut up and fish.
Welcome back to Fisherman's Blues here on TalkSport 2. I'm Thom Airs with you until 8 a.m. It's been another action-packed show this morning. Thank you if you are just tuning in. You can always listen back via the TalkSport app on your smartphone. I'm joined on the line by Joe Wooltorton, Nuffinbutfishing on YouTube, and also part of the CARPology team. Joe, what do you do at CARPology? Those who might not know or haven't seen your videos for CARPology, what's your remit? What do you do there?
I think official job title is content creator, which is the best way of describing it, because it's a bit of all sorts. Mainly YouTube videos, so it'll be product related, or filming another angler doing a session, or just making general content. And again, we're trying to expand the content we're making at the moment into more exciting for a wider audience, because we have got a very select style of video at the moment, which is the product related things. And as you know as well, you've done some work with us, so you understand more than most of what goes into our jobs. But yeah, I'd say content creators is the best overall job title for what I do.
And speaking of best overall job titles, many anglers might think it's one of the best jobs in the industry, and there aren't too many jobs at all in this trade. It is a select band, so you are fortunate to do what you do. You see a lot of tackle, don't you?
Yes, I do indeed. I think to the point that I think their delivery drivers must think that through our front door must become a warehouse, because they're constantly bringing stuff and taking stuff away. So it is a conveyor belt of tackle, which is a privilege, because I get to test the latest and greatest before making the decision myself. And hopefully through the content we make, it helps other people decide what they want to go for, whether it be for something that's cheap and cheerful, or all the way up to the high end. It keeps it interesting, because there's never one day or 2 days are the same, shall I say.
Yeah, and I don't know if you'll appreciate this description. I'm going to call him your on-screen wife. Luke Venus is your double act partner, and the pair of you got lovely sort of chemistry together, which I think is part of why so many people tune in to the channel. What's it like working with Luke, and what's it like when you're able to not fish and film solo? Going out together must be a bit of a treat when the pair of you are on the bank together.
Yeah, you're right there with the on-screen chemistry we have. It shows through. A friendship on camera is always going to be more natural. It's not forced, so we get on and off camera, which is the most important thing. And getting work done is often a lot quicker when you've got someone else to help get the shots. You can bounce ideas off each other, and just the general banter we have on camera is, like I was saying earlier on, is that I like to be as natural as possible on camera, because I think people can relate to it a lot easier than someone that's got an on-screen personality. What you see on there is how we are on and off of camera, which really helps to make the videos flow and gets the engagement. And proof is in that with the view rates of the content that we post, the ones where myself and Luke go fishing against each other or just general sessions, they get the most engagement and views because people want to see that sort of content, I think.
Yeah, and you do this sort of series, the versus matches, where you and Luke fish together. And I, I've got an angling mate that I've grown up with, and I can see the parallels. You talk about relatable sort of content, and if you fish as a pair, then you often have either a friendly or deadly serious sort of competition each time you go out. You've been filming one of those this week. I'm not going to ask you to give away how it all went, but what has this week been a sort of typical week's filming? What have you done this week, and how did that versus match go?
Yeah, so the versus match started on Monday. We went back to the same venue that we filmed the very first one, which is Drayton Reservoir. It was tough going in comparison to the first one. There were some fish, so that's not the issue, but we are going to be going back again this week for part 2. So it's going to be a 2-part versus. So for those that have been asking for a new series of the versus, we are very much in the swing of filming some new content for that. So that was Monday, Tuesday. Doing a bit of editing on Wednesday, I think. Thursday, I was out filming 2 more different products and get some final shots for a few other videos, and then Friday finishing off editing before the weekend, and then we go again next week. So it's a mixture of product content, fishing content, lots of traveling as well. That's another thing that a lot of people don't see is the amount of time on the road. So it's a very full-on week, and I'm hopefully going to tie up a lot of things fairly soon because my time is about to reduce quite greatly, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You're expecting your first child with Marielle, and we wish you well for that. You mentioned the travelling as well. You must have fished some real varied venues. Is a favourite that sticks out? I know you're often on Shearwater, which isn't a million miles away from you. Any venues that you've sort of felt privileged to tread the banks of?
Yeah, so for my channel-wise, Nuffinbutfishing, probably one of the greatest for me was Redmire. So that's quite an old video on there now, but I did manage to have one right to death. So that's always going to hold a special part in my heart for pure enjoyment and not so much nostalgia, but the being able to step foot on those banks of somewhere that I'd watched through a passion for angling, and to be there myself, see all the scenes where it was shot, and to manage to catch one, that was pretty special. And then if I go to a work shoot, it's probably going to be one that myself and Luke went over to Belgium a couple of years ago, one of his first abroad trips with us actually, and we fished a place called CARPology in Belgium, and it was an absolutely stunning nature reserve that was kept really natural, but had some beautiful fishing as well, and the hospitality over there, and quite a few bottles of Jupiler as well to wash it down.
Sounds perfect. And on the flip side of venues, you've fished with a lot of different anglers. You've mentioned Alan Blair. I've seen you out with lots of star names. Has it made you a better angler?
I'd like to think so. I think what I've taken most from all the different anglers I film is how much we overcomplicate things. All the anglers I go out with, especially if I've followed them over a few years, you see that they don't change how they fish. It'll be the same rigs, same bait application, same setup, and we can often get sucked into seeing the new and greatest thing to try. But the biggest thing I've taken is going back to basics, sticking with something I'm confident in, and the catch rate has gone up. So that's been the biggest taking point from filming all these different anglers.
Yeah, and any particular tactics that perhaps when you came into the role you weren't particularly conversant with? I don't know. Had you not done much floater fishing or long range fishing or PVA bag fishing? It seems to me, just off the top of my head, you've definitely taken to heart Rob Burgess's sort of PVA bag technique. Yes. That seems a sort of plus of fishing with these top anglers.
Yeah, much to the annoyance of Luke, I think, because he's had to film, I think, dozens of different solid bag sequences on these different trips of how I tie them up. But that's probably one of the main take-homes is how I do my solid bags. I think that's such a versatile but simple method to use on so many different lakes. And other than that, I think long-range fishing is still the one that I haven't really attempted. I've got the kit to do it now, but I think I really need a cast intuition because just fishing at range seems alien to me. So I think that's something I still need to work on.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think for many anglers, I think that might be the one that they'd put in the needs improvement category. Juggling CARPology work and your Nuffinbutfishing channel, you're never going to retire from Nuffinbutfishing. You still got that passion to keep creating on that channel?
No, exactly that. It's the first thing I ever set up, and it would be a shame to see it sort of dwindle away, and it's peaked and troughed over the years on when I've been able to get some content done, but I'm trying to fix in some time now on my own channel to get things done, whether that be when City are playing away rather than at home, so I don't go to a home game. I know it's a tough subject for you at the moment, but if I'm trying to shoehorn in sessions where I can now, I think, again, especially going forwards with the limited time I have when we become parents, I think it will be little sessions here and there, so maybe more GoPro related content than high-end quality productions. But no, it's never going to go away. It's something I still love doing, and the day that goes away is probably the day I hang up the rods as well.
Yeah, and all carp. I know you've done some pike videos in the past. What sort of species are we likely to see in the coming years?
Yeah, so carp is still the one that's closest to my heart and what I enjoy the most, and that is my bread and butter with work as well. So that's always going to be quite a solid foundation for my fishing. But I do enjoy the pike and perch. I do want to try some different disciplines, because I think you can also take tips and tricks from other disciplines into carp fishing, for example, and take some things from carp fishing into others. So I think it will make me a more rounded angler, as well as be able to create some more unique content for the channel.
Absolutely. Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. As I said, I should have got you on the show earlier, and I thoroughly enjoy watching your content both on the CARPology and the Nuffinbutfishing channels. That's Joe Wooltorton there, Bristol City fan, as he alluded to. Bristol City have stolen the manager of my beloved Oxford United.
So I'm offline now.
But, coming up next on TalkSport 2.
Lovely. No problem. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye. There we go. Radio interview all done. Oh, the radio's back on. That was really good fun. I hope you enjoyed listening to that. I probably would have overlaid some bits and pieces that I was talking about throughout the interview. Big thank you to Tom for having me online as well and having me on air. It's been really good fun. And yeah, I think that's everything for now. So I hope you enjoyed that. I really did. And now it's not even 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, so I've got all the day ahead of me. Time for some breakfast, I think. You can come down now.